not the smartest guys in the room. Yo, 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 this is not the smartest guys in the room. That's how I want to start it. I just saw Tom a minute ago with no glasses on. And I wondered, does Tom wear glasses or not? And I was so confused. So, Tom, weigh in on this.
Yeah, I was, it's a funny thing. Like, I did actually wear glasses when I was younger, and then I haven't worn glasses for a very long time. Basically, an eye doctor was like, you don't really need them. The correction is so minimal that if you can get by without them, don't wear them. And so I didn't for years, right? Stopped wearing glasses, and then I noticed I started getting headaches or whatever, like towards the end of the day. So I went to the eye doctor, and they were like, "Yeah, you should probably start wearing glasses again. Your eyes are getting a little bit older. They're getting tired. Yada yada yada. Old eyes." Anyway, so I got these glasses a little over a year ago, and a buddy of mine who I've known for, I don't know, probably 8 or 9 years now. I see him on a regular basis. I see him probably at least a couple of times a month, if not almost every week. We run into each other, and so he, I said something about my glasses, and he was like, "Yeah, I like them. They're new, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I just got them." And then I went on to say, something along the lines of like, I haven't worn glasses since I was in middle school or something like that. And he kind of paused and looked at me, and he was like, "Wait a minute." He's like, "You didn't have glasses before?" And I was like, "No." And he was like, "Seriously? You didn't wear glasses before?" And I was like, "Not before like last week. Like, you've never seen me with glasses on." And he just kind of looked at me and was like, "Huh, I kind of thought you always wore glasses." And I got home, and I said to my wife that I got Chandler banged, because there was this whole episode of Friends where he got glasses, and all of the friends kind of looked at him, and he was like, "What do you guys think?" And they were like, "About what?" And he's like, "My glasses." And they were like, "You've always had glasses." And it was that kind of thing. So I was like, yeah, I got home, and I was like, I got Chandler banged. But as apparently is evidenced by Dom, it's easy to do. Apparently, I'm I don't know. I look pretty much the same with and without them, or whatever. I don't know.
It would be funny if, because you're in production, if these glasses aren't really real on your face. And Dr. Touch, you could weigh in on this. I was on a call one day with somebody, and they had fake eyelashes that were like on the screen, like, and their makeup was on the screen, and they turned it off for a little bit. They were like, "Oh, see this? I can do this." I'm like, "What is going on here?" And the person looked completely different. So I wonder if Tom's wearing fake glasses. So, Tom, let's ask Dr. Tachi first. Has she seen this? And are you a user of computer makeup? Go on, Dr. Tachi.
Hey, good morning. Yes, I have seen it. I'm not a fan of it because at some point people have to either see you in person or it won't work and it needs to be off. And so for me, I like for the way I show up on screen to be the way that I actually am in real life. I don't, not to brag, but I don't need that because I already have is abundant eyelashes, if I do say so myself. So, but I also am not faulting people who do want to use filters like that if they feel if it gives them a little bit of a boost. That's fine. You just have to realize that people, you may look different to people, and people could be like, well, what else is this person hiding?
I'm kind of with you there, Dr. Tachi. I mean, I'll be slightly more judgmental because let's be honest, that's my brand. But I don't have a problem with somebody using them, right? Sort of like inherently, I don't have an issue with somebody using like a filter or kind of like applying eyelashes or makeup through a filter on their video feed. The issue I have with them is really that they don't work great, and they usually are pretty recognizable, and you end up with weird artifacts all the time. And it's sort of like the virtual background thing with video conferencing that I really don't like. And I don't like it because people's hands disappear. It's sort of distracting, and doesn't really sort of add. I think it takes away more than it adds. So I don't have an issue with somebody using it like on the virtues of it, right? But I do because it doesn't work well, and it's sort of like, you know, it's like it's the equivalent of like, the hospital gown of clothing, like, right? It's like it looks great from one side, and then as soon as you turn around, there's your ass hanging out for everybody to see, right? So it's like it's that kind of thing. Like I just saw a reel the other day where somebody had like the eyelash filter turned on as they were recording their reel, but they had turned their head. So there was one eyelash, like one eye had like the fake lashes on it. The other fake lashes were just kind of like hanging out on her cheek because her head was turned away from the camera. And so the camera didn't know, the program didn't know where to put the other eyelash because it couldn't see two eyes. So it just kind of like arbitrarily put it on her cheek. So she had eyelashes coming out of her cheek for like the first 20 seconds of the reel until she turned her face towards the camera. So like, yeah, they don't work great. So like turn it off. When it's like in those cases, it's just more distracting. It takes away more than it adds, I think.
That's good stuff. Tom, that was what was that analogy you just used at the beginning? That was really like, clip that. That was a good one. What was it?
The hospital gown.
Yes,
Like,
yeah.
like it looks great for one direction, but as soon as you turn around, your ass is hanging out.
There you go. That figure it out. Use that. That's gold, man. All right, we're talking. Are you the bottleneck in your business today? So are you cruising around? You think business is good, and you're trying to grow, and that is actually could be maybe you are the problem. The reason you're not growing the wall, the whatever that is. So Tom, is that a good place to start here?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I like, and this was kind of front of mind because of what I'm doing right now in my own business, right? Like, so I started Talex Media sort of in earnest in 2018, and have been basically a solo entrepreneur, scaling up and scaling down, and having some help here and there along the way over the last 8 years, but on a day-to-day basis, it's pretty much been me, right? Like I'm the only constant, really, for the entirety of Talex Media. But I'm in the process of building out and bringing on a team to help take some of the things off my plate that I don't particularly love doing and that I'm not great at, right? And that's like lead generation and sales, which are both really important for businesses, obviously, but things that I'm not particularly good at and I don't particularly enjoy doing. And so I don't think they're good uses of my time. And so I'm building out a team to take care of those things for me, right? So that I can continue to focus on the things that I really enjoy doing and the things that I love doing, which is the sort of creative problem solving side of my job, and the work that I do. And so, I think I just was having a conversation with somebody yesterday where I said to them, like, I'm the bottleneck, you know, I'm the thing that is preventing Talex from growing beyond essentially where it is now, right? I mean, there's maybe a little bit more room, but honestly, we couldn't do a lot more with just me. And so I'm the problem, right? Like I'm the bottleneck, despite the fact that I'm the founder, right? Despite the fact that it's my sort of brainchild and my baby, I'm the problem and I need to get out of my own way, right? I think ultimately, I don't even really want to be the CEO of Talex. Like if we grow to a point where we need to have a CEO, like I will hand that off to someone and I will just, sort of be the creative director or keep my title of chief legendeer and leave it kind of nebulous and be the founder and owner. But like, I don't even really want to be the CEO. I definitely don't want to be the COO, right? Like those are all like, that's my next kind of like idea in my growth trajectory for the business is once I get the sales team working up and running, and that process flowing and we're generating more revenue and bringing on more new clients, then my next hire is probably going to be somebody to run operations because I don't want to deal with it, right? And like that's that's the thing is like I have recognized now, it only took me 8 years, but I finally figured it out that I'm the problem and I'm the reason why Talex is not growing. And so I need to get out of my own way and bring in some people to help me grow it. But there's no way to do it entirely on my own, especially when I'm just don't have the interest or the energy or the skill set necessary to really do all of those jobs. And I don't think any entrepreneur does. I think it's one of those like sort of fallacies of entrepreneurialism, that intrinsically we have to wear a lot of hats at the very beginning, especially if you kind of start your own business, right? You have to wear a lot of hats, but also you have to recognize at some point that if you want the business to grow beyond you, right? If you want it to grow beyond a solo entrepreneurial venture, you need to bring on team to do that. And you need to get out of your own way, because if you don't bring on team, then you're the bottleneck, you're the problem, and you're going to be the sole reason that the business doesn't grow. Assuming all other things are equal and that there's actually a market for the business, it's in a good business and blah, 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 right? But like, yeah, so I was thinking of it because something I'm going through myself. That's why it was kind of front of mind for me. So how about yourself, Don? I mean, you're also, kind of have been a solo entrepreneur yourself. So like, curious to hear your thoughts on it.
This is like gut check time, Tom, where you bring this concept up of, are we the bottleneck? And are we all the bottleneck? I wonder, in my own business, am I the bottleneck? Am I the reason? If I had other managers, other people, am I holding on to ideas? I remember one time I had a friend, a mentor, that was like, well, you have to do these kind of projects to get to where you want to go. And I was closed off to doing the other kind of projects at the time. Like, it was my vision so narrowly focused that I was missing opportunities everywhere. So I will admit to some of being the bottleneck. I think I'm here to listen, to learn. And I wonder, I'm going to start this with ego. Is it ego in all of us in these small business? Nobody can do it better than me. I'm paraphrasing as entrepreneur in general. Nobody can do it as good as me. So I'm not going to trust anybody. I'm not going to allow anybody. I'm not going to teach anybody, because I want to ride in like I'm on a white horse and save the day. And nobody can do it as good as me, and that makes me feel good. But really, that's the ego check, and that's what the bottleneck is. So, damn it, you, Tom, bringing up this question. Let's hear from Madison. Madison's in entrepreneurship on her own. Our friend Madison. Hello, everybody, being here. Thank you for being here today. We appreciate you. Madison, are you the bottleneck? What say you on this subject?
Oh, definitely. I mean, like, my business is teeny tiny, and so I appreciate and try to take on all sorts of different opportunities as they come my way. But then, like, life gets in the way, and I have a million other jobs and responsibilities, and I'm still trying to figure out my capacity for work and recreation and all that sort of thing. So definitely, I think I'm the bottleneck as it stands right now, but that's something I will continue to work on as I grow my business.
Yeah, I mean, I think to your point, Dom, just kind of circling back there about the ego thing, right? I think a lot of it is I think that's sometimes the case, for sure, right? There are definitely instances where, like, and even for me, like, thinking about getting to a point where I am not intimately sort of involved in every decision on every project is a little bit like, could be a little bit daunting if I didn't have the past experience I have, where I've run teams and run television shows and had to delegate and not had that position of being in charge, but not being intimately involved in every decision and trusting people to do their jobs well. So I've had that experience. So I think, had I not, though, it would be really scary to think about kind of handing that off and delegating that responsibility. I think that's part of it. I think also for me, like, there's another thing that kind of plays into it, right? For me, there's like a protectiveness, right? That I've spent the last 8 years, sort of trying to build Talex Media from literally nothing, right? It was nothing but like, it was literally an LLC on paper and nothing more, before 8 years ago. And so over the last like sort of 8 years, I've really invested a lot of time and effort and energy into building it into a brand that means something to people, right? And within that brand, having some brand recognition for like legendeering, right? I actually just yesterday, just for giggles, typed legendeering into Google, and the whole page was like, was my website, was the book's website, was places where you can buy the book, was podcast interviews, all of these things, right? And I'm very proud of that. It's been a lot of effort and energy and a real labor of love, right? And so I think there's a bit of a sort of paternalistic instinct, right, that goes along with being an entrepreneur and building a business, from the ground up on your own, that makes it challenging also to kind of hand off and delegate those things. And then lastly, I think there's the sort of the fear of failure, right? Like it's often a labor of love and fraught with challenges just to get something off the ground enough to support you, right? As the sort of solo entrepreneur. And then the idea of bringing on more people and being responsible for also supporting those other people with the income and the revenue generated by the business, and knowing that you have that added responsibility of supporting those other people, those employees, with the business can be really daunting too. So I think I do think ego plays into it, definitely, and definitely for some people more than others. I think it depends on the individual, but I think it's a really sort of nuanced, complex thing that I think a lot of people struggle with, and I admittedly have struggled with it myself. I mean, 8 years in, I probably should have taken this leap at least a couple of years ago. I would argue that Talex was probably ready 2 years ago to do this, 2 or 3 years ago. So, have I been a little bit slow? Maybe, and for Madison, I would say just, it seems 8 years seems like an incredibly long time when you're standing at the beginning of that or early in that journey and looking down the road. But honestly, it goes fast. Like it almost seems weird to me to say 8 years ago, right? Like it's kind of like hard to wrap my head around that it's actually been that. It's almost a decade. Like what are we even talking about? Like almost a decade. It feels like I started it yesterday, right? Like I was just kind of hatching this plan of like leaving TV and starting my own thing, like, a couple of minutes ago. It doesn't seem like it's been almost a decade. That's crazy. So it does seem daunting, but it also goes really quick, I think.
Tom, you are almost making me cry with that talk about the journey, right? Each of us is on a journey to wherever we're trying to go to reach the goal, and there's ups, there's downs. I posted the other day, I think I'm in year 13 of what I officially call Motivation Champs, right? And some days you feel momentum and you're like, holy shit. And then other days, as we talked about, some months everybody pays, some months nobody pays, and you see the balance go up or down. Then some days, everything that you're working on, you think, well, hey, I might have something here. And then people, the overnight success with any view or post or piece of content that does good or that people receive or see it somewhere. I know that I put out thousands of other pieces and have had zero views. Or I remember this isn't memory lane, but I remember one time I spoke at a county fair and there was nobody there, nobody in the room. And like, it was like people were eating like hot sausages and stuff where I was supposed to be speaking. And I just had to, but you don't always see that. You see a different side of it. So Tom, what do you say? And then it is time for, what?
Well, I was just thinking when you said I spoke at a county fair, I was imagining, and you said there's nobody there. I'm imagining you like standing on stage and like in the background, there's like pens with like cows in them, right? And like you pause at like what in your head was an applause moment, right? You pause there, and all you hear is like a in the background, which by the way, I've been practicing my animal sounds. So that's I feel like a fairly faithful representation of a cow, because Isla is big into animal sounds right now. And so I've been brushing up on my animal sounds. So that's my cow.
That was pretty good. And you go into, when you're thinking in your mind, sometimes you think how something's going to go. So I remember, like, I'm going to burst through the door and the room's going to be filled and people are going to be cheering, this guy that wrote first book or whatever it was. And really, I went in and people were like, could you hand me a napkin? And could you move over? I want to see that pig over in building 6 and not you. So absolutely. So
hey, do you know if they have any mustard?
yeah, could you hand me that mustard behind you? All right, it's time. It is time, Tom, for Tom's Thumbs. It's that point of the show. You ready? We asked Tom something about pop culture, what's going on. He has to give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Tom, in honor of baseball coming soon, spring training and all that, I want to know what you think about ballpark food. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
All right. So there's a couple of things that I think about ballpark food, right? Like, to me, and maybe I'm dating myself, right? Like, there are two foods, actually, well, one's a drink. So we'll say two foods and one beverage that, like, say, scream like baseball game to me, and kind of scream summer a little bit, right? But like specifically baseball, they are the hot dog, right? The dog, like the ballpark Frank. I mean, come on, right? You got to have a hot dog at a ballpark, right? So there's the ballpark Frank. Then there's the peanuts in the shells, right? This in the shell, which is like 100% an outdoor activity. Like, eating peanuts in the shell is an outdoor thing because they are like a freaking disaster everywhere, right? Or in some bars or restaurants where you can just throw them on the floor and they sweep them up and it's not a big deal. But you definitely don't want to eat those in your living room sitting on the couch, because like you're going to be vacuuming them up for the rest of your life. But like that idea of sitting at a ballpark and just eating peanuts out of the shell, watching the game, cheering for your team, like that's very baseball. And then beer, right? So like, obviously having a cold beer at a baseball game, eating a hot dog, eating some peanuts, like that's quintessential ballpark food in my mind. I do think that they have kind of lost the plot, right? It is essentially like ballparks have kind of gone the route of like the over the top Bloody Mary, right? Or like the stunt hamburger, where you get it and you're like, how am I supposed to eat this balancing with one hand on my lap? Like sitting in the stands trying to watch a baseball game. Like, it doesn't even make sense, right? They're giving you burgers that like are so big and so mal-constructed that you can barely hold on to them with two hands, let alone one hand, right? And there's no way to actually practically eat it while you're at a baseball stadium watching a baseball game, right? I think, I just think that at the end of the day, I think simple is better, right? Fries are fine, right? Like any popcorn's fine, like one-handed food, snack items, things like that. Even the nachos, those crappy nachos with like the pump cheese sauce that some people love. I don't particularly like them, but like whatever, that's fine, right? That's all fine. But the over-the-top like stunt foods that you get now at stadiums have gone too far, where it's like a full barbecue platter, right, in a flimsy paper tray that is inevitably going to come apart, that you just paid $30 for and you can't even eat, is completely out of bounds. It's completely over the top. They've jumped the shark. It's a hat on a hat. Any other metaphor you want to think about. It is the food equivalent of a hospital gown. It looks great, but then it ends up all over your lap, right? Like it looks great from one angle. When you walk up to the place and you're like, oh man, that rack of ribs looks fantastic, right? And then you get it back to your seat and you're like, well, what the hell am I supposed to do with a rack of ribs, right? With one hand, trying to hold my beer, trying to like cheer for my team, try to get up and move out of the way so people can get back and forth to their seats. Like it just doesn't make any sense to me. So outside of the practical, like easy to eat, makes sense, snack style foods that you have at ballparks, all of the rest of it, all the stunt food gets a huge thumbs down from me.
Another thumbs down. We need Tom's ratio down at the bottom. But Tom, I'll have to say this because you taught me. Very cogent argument. One-handed food. I get it. Makes sense to me. Chicken wings at a game. Come on. They're so messy. I get what you're saying, man. I want clean one-handed. All right. This is not the smartest guys in the room, and that was Tom's thumbs. Okay. We're talking. One, we're thankful everybody's here today. We appreciate. We don't do this without you guys weighing in, without you being here, without your support. So thank you for that. Now we're in podcast form. We're on Indie Soup. You can watch us on Twitch. Where else, Tom?
We're on Twitch, we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, we're on YouTube. We rebroadcast on Indie Soup, Mediascope, and we also are now available wherever you get your favorite podcast. So if you miss it, if you have to punch out before we get to our PSAs or Tom's Thumbs or Dom's Walk Down Memory Lane, whatever your favorite segment is, before we get to any of those, if you got to jump shark, then we can, or jump ship. Why did I say shark? That was completely wrong. That's not how that saying goes. It's not even a saying at all. If you have to jump ship before we get to your favorite segment, you can always check us out on replays on YouTube, on various channels, as I said, and then of course, wherever you get your podcast. So if you don't even have time to watch, if you want to just listen in the car while you're driving, on your commute, whatever it is, you can find us there. So if you haven't had enough of me ranting and raving, feel free to check us out.
Hey, now in the pandemic, we used to do these rooms for like 3 hours at a time. Now we try to get you in and out. We got an hour for you. We try to tighten it up, make it a sharp hour with lots of content. So we're talking about, are you the bottleneck in your business, or how to avoid bottleneck? We're coming to our friend Jason, and we'll come back around the other direction to Dr. Tachi, whoever else wants to jump in. But Jason, bottleneck. Are you bottlenecking your growth? What's the thoughts, my friend?
I can be at times, but that's where, making sure that your illusions don't lead you too far. We have to have imagination. We have to have foresight on things, but sometimes we're so far ahead that where we're really at when we self-assess doesn't really work for us. So bottlenecking is dealing with your ego. But then there's some times that you're working on something great, but you got to just get good. And being obsessed with the practice sometimes can show you exactly where you're at if you're willing to see it and not try to defend against it. So hopefully that helps your question.
I see Tom shaking his head. Go on, my friend.
I mean, I was just nodding in agreement. I think Jason's 100% right. It takes. I think it takes. At the end of the day, it takes some self-awareness and some honesty, right? And that can be tough. It can be tough. It can be tough to be honest with yourself. It can be tough to be, self-aware enough to realize on your own. I think it's one of the things that's super important, and that kind of has always helped me. Is having some reliable, good friends that you can count on to give you, the unvarnished truth, right? Who will tell you, yeah, I think you are the problem, right? And not in a mean way, right? Just in a very honest way. I mean, I think it's a lesson that I take from my approach to content creation. And actually, I just saw an example of this the other day, and I shared it with Becky, and she had a similar reaction. But I almost always will show without sort of any preface and without a lot of explanation about what I'm creating or what I'm doing when I'm working on a project or working on a piece. I will show the cuts at various stages to Becky, right? Because sometimes you really need that outside perspective that has vision that is not colored by being involved in the project, right? Or being too close to it, to be able to say like, oh, actually, like, I don't understand what that means, right? To let you know that like something that you're maybe taking for granted, your audience won't understand. And like the example that I was thinking of just yesterday, somebody I know who owns a video production company, created a video for one of their own projects to sort of promote something that they were doing. And I didn't think it really made sense. I kind of understood that what they were trying to do, but it didn't really make sense. And I sent it to Becky. It was on social media. I shared it to Becky and I said, hey, what do you think of this? And she came back and she was like, I don't really know what I just watched. Like, I don't really understand what I'm supposed to take out of that. And like, that's a problem. And that's what happens when you are kind of too close to something and you don't have the ability to step back, or you don't have somebody with a real outside perspective, a real third party perspective, weighing in to kind of let you know that you've missed the boat. You've lost the plot. Like, you haven't done a good job of communicating what you want to communicate. You are sort of creating the problem in the situation. So I think like having that being honest, right, being self-aware, but then also having that outside third party perspective can really be invaluable in helping you move forward, right? As long as it's somebody who will be honest with you, that's the key, right? It can't be somebody that just butters you up, right? Or is incentivized to sort of just give you, to just placate you and make you feel good, right? It has to be somebody who will be honest, even if that hurts a little bit, even if that honesty stings a little bit. But yeah, I think it's incredibly important.
Tom, good stuff all around. I want to take this another direction here. There is an assumption in this conversation that a one-man show is bad. And only if depending on the goal. If your goal is, hey, like, think how many great production businesses or plumbers or vloggers or authors, or there's a million businesses, shows that are great as one man. I think we have to know, what is our goal? Is that where we want to be? Are we trying to hand it off to somebody else? Is there a different, am I trying to create, we talked about in here before, the bonsai business where it's perfect as is and I'm just keep trimming it. I'm making perfect pie and I'm going to make sure that this pie is 100% efficient, or is there, I need to grow? And I think if we know that and the reason for why, then we can say, well, this one man show, it's time, Tom, you've been a good one man show. It's time to not be a one man show anymore. Or Dominick, the one man show, it's not going to work forever based on the goals you want. So that's where I stand on that, Tom.
I mean, I think that's a really good point. I think it does 100% depend on your goals, right? I mean, if somebody's goal is to, as you said, like, be a plumber, right? And all they want to do is just keep their calendar full and do their work as a plumber, and then, send out their invoices, or, collect, send it, maybe have an outsourced bookkeeper or something handling their books, and that's it. Then great, good for them, right? Like, if that's what they want to do and they're happy doing it, like, if they can find satisfaction, yeah, absolutely. Like, I think that's a fantastic thing. The thing for me, right, and you're right, there is that assumption, right? And I should have been clear about that. Like, my goals are, revolve around impact. And I want to have an impact on sort of the way that we do business in this country. And in order to do that, I cannot be a sole practitioner, right? There is no world in which I, by myself, have the impact that I want to have and sort of move the needle and push things in the direction I want them to go. So for me, I just think that at the end of the day, I have to grow to be able to even begin to accomplish any of the things that I want to accomplish. But for somebody else, they may say, "Hey, man, look, I just want to make stuff." So I'm fine just being me, and like as long as it keeps a roof over my head and pays my bills, I'm happy. And I'm similar to that when it comes to money. Like I'm definitely not money driven. It's really about the impact. I actually kind of have like a weird relationship with money in that like I kind of almost don't want to have too much money because I feel like you get to a certain point and it actually starts to like move you in a bad direction. I mean, look, I want to be comfortable. Would I love to be in a position where like I never have to worry about money? Sure, right? Like, because who wouldn't, right? But I also like I'm not in this. I'm not trying to get rich, right? If I was, I'd be I don't know doing something in like venture capital, or I'd be working in finance or something, right? Like where there's a much more guaranteed income stream. I wouldn't be starting my own production company. So there's that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, Elle, what do you think? I mean, is it, are you trying to grow? Are you the bottleneck if you're trying to grow, or are you happy where you're at and happy to stay a solo entrepreneur if that's where you are?
I think she's on the phone.
Oh, yep. Oh, there she
No,
is.
I'm not on the phone. I had to ignore that call, but it's going to mess up my Bluetooth when I leave a message. Anyway, good morning, everybody. I have two businesses, but I would say even one of them, definitely I'm a solopreneur, but by necessity, I mean that it would be not impossible, but I don't know even if it would be productive to try to add people. But even in my solopreneur business, I'm not an island, right? I have a coach, I have a CPA, I mean I have people I work with because I do understand the fact that you absolutely can be a bottleneck. You hold this thing too closely to your chest, too tightly to your chest. You don't let anybody look at the baby. You know, you don't see the flaws. It's too close to you. That is absolutely true. But that is why I hired a coach, and he's brutally honest with me. So if you find yourself, and that particular business is a consultancy role, and it's very niche, it's very specific. There would be no benefit to me to, and it would be damn near impossible to add people to that. So that's why I hired a coach, because I did understand that I was too close to it. I couldn't see the weaknesses. And I have another business where I do have employees and I have partners. And so I knew from that experience, like, okay, I've got to have other eyeballs on this. And it's hugely beneficial. And I would recommend to anyone, if you are a solopreneur, even have someone else join you. If it is a coach, if it is a trusted advisor, um, it's so important. And it's not just even if you're happy with where you're at, it's also to make sure you are doing things correctly, that you are seeing what's ahead of you. We've got an ever evolving technology situation. Are you aware? Are you staying up to date? I don't think we can. I'm not going to use a blanket 100% can do business in a bubble anymore by ourselves, but it's becoming more difficult, right? So yeah, I believe 100% you can be your own bottleneck.
Elle, thank you very much. And that idea, we talked about the self-awareness earlier, and that concept of getting a coach. Great idea, right? Somebody, if you are self-aware enough to know that I'm at this standstill, whether it be a coach, a mentor, somebody that can hold you accountable, um, lay crumbs, whatever, to lead you to a certain place. Well said. All right, Tom, that means it is the time of day, guys, where we do a quick PSA. We got less than 60 seconds to make a point. So let's see what Tom's grouchy about. Maybe he's not grouchy, but let's see what Tom is grouchy about today. So first PSA, we're going to put Tom on the clock. I see a clock for anybody watching where we're streaming. When I see a clock come up, that's when I will stop filling time. You ready, Tom?
Or you could stop talking and I'll start the clock and actually start my PSA. How about that?
All right,
I'm waiting for you to stop talking before I start.
I'm wondering what the hell you're doing. Get on with it.
I'm not giving you my time. You don't get to talk into my time any more than I get to talk into your time. So here we go. All right. Here's my PSA. So a lot of people have been jumping ship with OpenAI and ChatGPT. And rightfully so, I think, based on sort of their willingness to sign on, to agree to the Department of Defense's demands to provide their tools for things like surveillance of American citizens and potentially for use in automated weaponry, which sounds like an awful idea and very dystopian and terrible to me. So I am also jumping ship on ChatGPT, and I'm moving over to Anthropic and Claude. And I just wanted to PSA for anybody who's thinking about doing this, Claude or Anthropic. I'm getting all confused here with all these different things, but Anthropic has actually built a tool to enable you to do this more easily. So if you just Google Claude import memory, the tool will come up and you'll be able to actually import your stuff over from ChatGPT and kind of actually not have to start over. So something to think about doing. But that's my PSA. Claude import memory. Just Google those 3 words together and you'll find the tool.
All right, we might have to talk about this too, Tom. So go on. All right, let's see this clock. I want to see it. I'm ready. Okay, come on. Okay, here we go. I see it on here. Okay, my PSA for today is try something new. Me and my wife tried Vietnamese food a couple weeks ago. It was great, fantastic. I've been listening to some new podcasts. I am enjoying them. Fun, learning new stuff, reading different kinds of books. Fun, new. A couple of years ago on my birthday, we went and climbed rock walls, and it was my first foray into climbing rocks, and I absolutely loved it. So my point today is get out there, step out of your comfort zone, try something new. You just might enjoy it. You just might like it. You might grow as a human being. You might meet new people. You might get healthier. There is so many positive things about trying something new. So PSA for today, try something new. Thank you, Tom. All right, Tom, now let's go back to Tom and Claude and all these names that he's talking about. Tom, why do I care why does ChatGPT, why do I care as a publisher of books what are they going to survey on me, that I'm sharing pictures of puppies chasing their tails? Or, I mean, how is this affecting me?
It's not so much how they're using the data. It's the fact that the Department of Defense wants to have the ability to use AI platforms to be able to create surveillance of American citizens, which just on its surface is illegal. So they shouldn't even be sort of asking for that. But they want to have the ability to use AI platforms to design and to conduct surveillance on people. So it's not that they're going to be looking at your data per se, but it's that they would use the same platform or platforms owned by that company to do things that I sort of, on ethical and moral grounds and legal grounds, disagree with, right? I also think from an ethical and moral standpoint, it's a terrible idea to let AI decide whether or not to fire a weapon at someone. I think that's a terrible idea. Fire a weapon at someone or even something. I just think it's a bad idea. And I don't want to take money out of my wallet and use it to support a company that agrees to do those things, right? And so, like, for me, that's what it comes down to, is simply just, does OpenAI align with my values as a person? The answer to that has been basically no for quite a while, but this was sort of like the straw that broke the camel's back, right? Where it's become so far out of alignment that I'm not even willing to entertain the idea of giving them any more money, right? And so immediately I started looking for places to go. And also kind of simultaneously, there was, news about how Anthropic had essentially, when the Defense Department said to them, hey, here's what we want you to agree to, Anthropic said, no, we're not going to do that, right? We're definitely not going to do that for moral and ethical reasons and legal reasons, because it's illegal for the Department of Defense to surveil American citizens, particularly on American soil. That is just flat illegal. They specifically said, no, we're not going to do that. So it kind of made it an easy decision, right? On the one hand, you have OpenAI saying, yeah, sure, whatever you guys want to do, right? If the money's right, as long as your money's green, right, is basically what OpenAI is saying. And Anthropic's going, I don't care how good the money is. It's not something we want to be involved in for moral and ethical reasons. Because we don't believe that it's a good use of the technology. We don't want to be involved. And so it kind of made it an easy decision. Also, like, I'm not alone. I think somewhere in the neighborhood of like about 297%, I think was the number I saw, was the percentage by which people started leaving, the leave rate for ChatGPT increased after the Pentagon announced that they had signed an agreement with OpenAI. So like that leave rate went up by like 300% as soon as they announced it, right? And I feel like it's probably going to continue, and it just reinforces to me that, look, having values as a business is a good thing, because at the end of the day, it means that you get to work with and you attract the kinds of customers and clients that you want to work with, right? Rather than trying to be everything to everyone, we all know the rest of that saying, right? You end up being nothing to nobody, right? If you try to be everything to everyone. And yeah, so anyway, so I decided to migrate over to Claude, and then as I was like trying to figure out how to do it and doing some research online, like a day afterwards, Claude actually, or Anthropic actually announced that they had created this tool so that you could migrate your data more easily, because they were seeing so many people jump over to them. So that's what I did. And I got to be honest,
It's a better product.
I was going to say,
now.
so far I really like it. Like I like the interface. They also have a desktop. If you're on a Macintosh or an Apple platform and you're using their OS, they have a desktop application that you can use that works really well. Yeah, I like it. So I've started using Claude, and my subscription to ChatGPT expires at the end of the week, and I'm not renewing. So that's where I stand on that.
All right, Tom, good points all around. Thank you for the raising awareness. I have been working on, as a company, being Motivation Champs, since making sure that I am 100%, like you talked about, values of a company. I want almost forward, front facing with the values, letting people know I'm going to share inspiration, positivity, and smiles. I'm going to help share this content with the world. That's the goal. Share more good with the world. There's a lot of shit out there, but ultimately the world is good. Dominick and Motivation Champs believe, with all the shit going on in the world, that the world is still good. It is my mission to share more content, raise this awareness, put more stuff out into the world, Tom, that is of that mind, of that ilk, whatever the word is. So that's it. And I'm starting to put out more content saying, if this isn't for you, I understand. But this, from me, from Motivation Champs, this is what you're going to see. So even like my last email yesterday, I like a mass email. And feel free to, if this isn't for you, respond, reply, unsubscribe. I am open to that. But you will keep seeing this kind of content from me And I want everybody to know that that's where I stand on it. All right, Tom. Okay, let's see here. 10:22. We got to get going, man. What the hell I had thoughts on other things I wanted to tell you. Go on. What do you got?
Well, I mean, so really, the only thing we have left in terms of segments is a walk down memory lane, and then a wrap up. But the wrap up can be fast; it doesn't have to be belabored. So what do you want to walk down memory lane first, and then
Let's
we
go
can
right
get on
down
to what you wanted to talk about?
All right, let's go. Here, come
All
on.
right, take us on a walk, Tom.
Right down memory lane. Recently, in the last couple of days, after years and years and years, we mentioned earlier 14 years. I'm about 13, 14 years since my son is 20 years old now. Years ago, this hat I'm wearing says Motivation Champs. Me and him sat at a computer when he was 6 years old and started thinking about names for Motivation Champs. At the time, we said he, like John Cena, one of the names he came up with was Motivation Cena. He won't admit that, but so it had to have the word in motivation. Domains had to be available. We believed in that the people were the champions. And so we just kept trying. 14 years later from that day, now I have logo, I have brand, have business. 14 years. We just got our trademark the other day, Tom. So the journey has taken us to what was this idea of putting out this kind of content. Well, let's just share some. Maybe it wasn't even a business back then, to now like a business that's a little more mature, growing. The mission's growing stronger. And now I'm wearing a hat that says Motivation Champs. I got a coffee cup beside me that says Motivation Champ. And now that little puppy is trademarked as well. So that's what would we call it? Memory lane for today, the journey, Tom.
Are you gonna reprint all your merch with the little R next to it now that it's a registered trademark?
Should I do that? What do you think?
No, I don't think you need to do that at all. But I mean, you could, going forward, you could put the little R next to things if you wanted to. You've earned that now that you've got the paperwork to back it up. But I don't think you need to.
It's true. And family was there, family, friends, the whole time, supporters. I'm thankful. And you just keep on going, like we were talking about before. I got shit. I got stuff that's got one view, no views. I got stuff nobody looked at, but you persist, and hopefully your values are aligned. You think you're doing the right thing, and you just push on day by day, inch by inch, content by content. Maybe we get where we're going, Tom. All right, what do you got?
Well, I was just going to say, it requires a lot of stubborn consistency, right? Like people want to, call it perseverance and dog, and sure, that word works too. But I think at a certain point, it just has to be sort of like stubbornness, right? It has to be just sort of stubborn conviction that what you're doing matters and that you believe in the sort of the journey that you're on and the mission that you're trying to accomplish. And if you're not stubborn, I think that's probably one of the sort of characteristics of entrepreneurs is all of us tend to be a little bit stubborn. If you're not stubborn, you probably won't stick with it long enough to see it your sort of your dream realized. But yeah, I think that stubborn consistency over time is really what kind of separates the wheat from the chaff, so to speak.
Well said, Tom. I was speaking to a friend the other day that has a startup. He's working on it, and we talked about when you're starting a business, when you're growing a business, how many people don't understand it, don't believe in it, ask you what you're doing, and it really, admittedly, it hurts when people don't get it. They think you're not working. They think, what's Tom doing? What's Dominick doing? It hurts. And I told the guy, I'm like, it hurts. It hurts sometimes. And he replied, it hurts every time. So it does hurt, but just keep going because, like Tom said, that stubborn perseverance, you'll get there, Tom. So well said. Tom, why don't you take us home, man? You're on fire today. Why don't you take us home with a wrap up?
Well, I was just gonna say one other thing too, like kind of on that note, if you want to get a little ego boost in terms of like what you're doing and what you got going on, for me, like when I used the tool that Anthropic created to kind of pull your data out of ChatGPT, I also downloaded a copy of all my data from ChatGPT. But this basically has ChatGPT create kind of a summary of you and your interaction with the platform and all the things that you've done and what you use it for and what it's sort of learned from its interactions with you. It kind of creates this abstract based on that. And one of the things in my abstract that it talked about was that I am building multiple ventures simultaneously. And I was like, oh, that actually, like, because there's days when you're just like, I don't feel like I accomplished anything today, right? Like, I mean, we all have days like that. And just going through that, you know, reading that abstract and seeing that, and then seeing like kind of a laundry list, because I often would sort of like, you know, try to do research and like use ChatGPT to like find sources and to kind of poke through and dig into the stuff that I'm working on. And I found that you know, because of that, it had this like laundry list of kind of all of the things I have going on, all the balls I have in the air, right? As if I'm some kind of Cirque du Soleil juggling, some kind of Cirque du Soleil juggling phenom, right? That has like 86, you know, balls in the air simultaneously while spinning a plate on my toes or something like that. And you know, it kind of made me feel good. I was like, oh, wow, look at that. Like I am doing stuff, right? Even on the days when I feel like I'm just spinning my wheels or I'm banging my head against the wall or I'm not making any progress forward. Just kind of seeing that laid out, you know, almost clinically, like almost without, you know, like without emotion, just sort of like in black and white on the screen. You know, really kind of made me feel good and reminded me that the work I'm doing has meaning. You know, the work that I'm doing matters, that I am building things, that I am working towards goals, and that I am actually accomplishing things one step at a time, right? Am I finished? No. Am I ever gonna feel finished? Probably not, right? Because it's not in my nature. As soon as I get to one goal, I already want to get to the next one, right? And I think that's maybe something that's sort of classic to the entrepreneur, that, you know, you set a goal for yourself. When you hit that goal, you're like, okay, now we're working towards the next goal. There's never a point where you sort of kick back and say, well, that's it, I'm done. I did everything I set out to do, right? Because I mean, I don't know. For me, that's just not how my brain works. So I guess in summation or as a wrap up, I would just say to anybody listening, you know, be stubborn, be consistent, persevere, keep your head up, keep moving forward. Maybe have AI construct an abstract if you're not sure if what you're doing and the way you're spending your time is fruitful. And at the end of the day, you know, make sure you surround yourself with the people that will be honest enough to let you know when you are the bottleneck, when you are the problem, when you are the one holding yourself back, and then bring on the people you need to help you get out of the way. So that's what I think. That's how I would leave things for today. I want to thank everybody for being here, for listening, for being a part of this community and a part of this show. We appreciate you guys. We love you guys. You guys, as we always say, are the reason why we do this and why we've been doing this for years now, every week. You are what makes us, or who makes us, not the smartest guys in the room. So we thank you for that. We appreciate you for that. Until next time, for Dom, I'm Tom. We're not the smartest guys in the room. We appreciate you. We love you. And hope you have a great rest of your week. We'll see you next Wednesday. Bye-bye.